Why the ANC is outdated and Cyril Ramaphosa's handling of the Israel Genocide ICC case is meaningless. When did the ANC start its pro-Palestine stance? Firstly, let's recall the events that led to the independence of South Africa. Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for 27 years for opposing the apartheid government in his country. In 1990, he was released and fled to Zambia, where he met other African presidents. Surprisingly, Yasser Arafat, the leader of Palestine, was there and received him with a warm welcome. Back then, Israel was known to support the apartheid South African government and also supplied it with arms. The Palestinian state was under oppression, where blacks in the West Bank and Gaza were denied services and freedom of speech. Nelson Mandela discussed these issues and felt deeply for the sovereignty of Palestinian communities. At this point, Mandela had just been released from oppression and harbored resentment towards Western powers for their negligence and support of those who viewed Africans as animals rather than humans. The Palestinian president capitalized on Mandela's desire for freedom, which was the right thing to do. The African National Congress came to power and mended peace with the white minority rule. Unlike other African nations like Zimbabwe and Mozambique, which expelled whites from their countries, Mandela chose peace and unity. Mandela regularly raised the plight of the Palestinians. 3 years after apartheid and white minority rule were dismantled in South Africa, Mandela was elected president in historic all-race elections in 1994. He thanked the international community for its help and added, "But we know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians." While Mandela, the Nobel Peace Prize winning statesman, also reached out to Israel in an attempt to foster a peaceful solution, anti-Israeli rhetoric in South Africa has strengthened over the years, sometimes seeping into everyday life. For example, the ANC's youth wing pressured South African grocery store chains to drop Israeli products and threatened to forcibly shut them down if they didn't. The International Criminal Court case against Israel is rooted in the historical context between these two countries. However, what is neglected is that Hamas killed 1,000 Israelis and took 300 hostages unprovoked, making itself a terrorist organization. The Palestinian authorities have failed to take control of Gaza and the West Bank, making them invalid states, but just cities with terrorist organizations. The issue lies with the killing of civilians in Gaza by the IDF, but this doesn't constitute genocide because this Muslim terror group is intertwined with civilians who seem to be siding with Hamas. Cyril Ramaphosa should also consider these facts and the changing times rather than pursue a false genocide case against Israel. This situation indicates that the ANC is still too old to see the world stance and update its support and strategies. Some prophets have already quoted that Israel is God's chosen nation, so that which is written in the old books is still applicable. By cursing God's footstool, South Africa has cursed itself, leading to the current state under a curse due to the uncalculated moves by the outdated ANC and Cyril Ramaphosa. Who doesn't understand simple math? They don't understand Muslims, who never go for peace but always war. The ANC government refused to arrest then Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir when he visited South Africa in 2015 despite a warrant for allegations of genocide by the International Criminal Court. South Africa has also retained strong ties with Russia and President Vladimir Putin since the invasion of Ukraine. Overlooking an ICC indictment against Putin for alleged war crimes in relation to the abduction of children from Ukraine. The ANC going to a court whose rulings they have defied several times makes no sense, and it is clear this is just for ANC political gains, not for South Africans at all.